What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Talking Sports with Phillip Jordan Facebook page, and we're on the YouTube channel live right now. And this is part of Talking Pro Football, the podcast that will drop on Wednesday morning, where I'm joined by Brian Jones first half. But right now, this is the second half of that podcast, and I am joined like I am every week by Brandon Eisenman. He is on the phone right now, so you can hear him good and clear coming through my cell phone. But Brandon, how's it going? We're midweek, and we're getting closer to Thanksgiving, and the football season is kind of the halfway point of NFL. We got 1 month of college football, so it's kind of flying on by here.
Yeah, that's certainly flying by, Phillip. 2020 has been a crazy year, but man, we're about a week out from Thanksgiving. It's going by quick.
Yeah, it has. And of course, you cover LSU for LSU Wire, and you host the LSU Radio podcast. Of course, what we're mainly doing here is picking and kind of previewing Week 11 in the National Football League. But just overall, I know LSU missed their game last week. What is the latest coming out of LSU that if they'll play or not this weekend?
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything that said they're not going to play against Arkansas, so I'm going to assume that the game's going to go on. Now, I did listen to a podcast, I think, late last week that said that the players that were out in quarantine probably wouldn't be back until the middle of this week, so we'll see how that shakes out in a couple days. But as far as it stands right now, I'm pretty sure they're going to play.
All right. That's what you want to hear on that. Let's see. And we are live, so if anybody's checking us out right now, you can put in a comment, and I can put it up on the screen. And, it's just, overall, college football, it was kind of a boring weekend. On Talking SEC this week, I kind of went on a rant and said, why did we not have a 3 o'clock SEC game when you had 2 at 6 o'clock? But it was a crazy weekend. It was a crazy weekend in the NFL last Sunday. I guess we need to talk about this first. We talked about the Packers playing the Jaguars, and people don't know you're a Jaguars fan. I'm a Packers fan, and I went into Sunday saying, comfortable. The Packers should blow the Jaguars out. That was not the case on Sunday. The Jaguars gave Packers quite a game.
Yeah, they certainly did. And Phillip, I was not expecting the Jags to play as well as they did, but Aaron Rodgers got it done for Green Bay, and Jacksonville still sits at the number 2 overall pick, 1-7 going into Week
11. When you look at their situation, do you think they should go quarterback?
Yeah, I think we should. You know what? I think quarterback is a really good first-round selection for them with their first, particularly the second overall pick, because Minshew probably isn't the answer. Jake Luton, he's played, solid in the last 2 weeks, but he's not the answer. And honestly, I think they need to just blow it all up, get rid of everyone, get you a franchise quarterback and rebuild. That's what they need to do. But I think quarterback is the only answer with their first pick in the first round.
Yeah, and you kind of Gardner Minshew. He played well, but I guess you got to look at it with him. I mean, there's not a big financial backing or investment into him, so you would understand why they go quarterback. And dude, this quarterback draft is going to be so loaded. I mean, at the top you're going to have Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. You got Trey Lance coming out of North Dakota State. I mean, look what Kyle Trask is doing. Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. I mean, that is very loaded quarterback draft class. I mean, of course, you're sitting there. Okay, the Jets are number 1, so you figure they go quarterback. So that's going to be Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. So the Jaguars are in a good situation. They're going to get the other, and it's not like there's a winner and loser in that. If you get one or the other, you're doing pretty good if you get Lawrence or Fields.
Yeah, I certainly think so. And Phillip, I'm just going to go ahead and give you my honest take here. If I were the Jaguars, I would much rather have Kyle Trask than I would Justin Fields. But that's just me. I like Kyle Trask a lot. I like Justin Fields. But if you want a guy that's going to, take you in the right direction for, say, the next 8, 9, 10 years, I prefer Trask over Fields all day long.
Yeah, he is. You know this because, like I said, you cover LSU. He's very Joe Burrow-esque with the way he's playing right now. I mean, he's thrown more touchdown passes than Joe Burrow did at this point last year, and and this is not no way am I knocking Joe Burrow, but those were some cupcake games in there, and this is all against SEC opponents. I mean, that's what's impressive. I mean, this is an all SEC schedule, and he is lighting up SEC defense each and every week. And you got to look at that and say, wow, because and in Tua also his year that he was so great, it's the same thing there. So and I kind of was taken aback by that when I saw that stat Saturday. They were talking about Kyle Trask that he has thrown more touchdown passes this year than Joe Burrow did last year at this point.
Yeah, and to think that it's a shorter season too, because Burrow did it in 15 games over the season, but he threw 20. I think it was 26 touchdowns through 6 games, and Trask did I think 28 through the first 6. And Florida's only played a 10-game regular season plus whatever they may get in the SEC championship and maybe the college football playoff. That's at least one extra game. So in less games throughout the entire season, Trask is putting up better numbers, which after what Burrow did last year, I didn't think we'd see that, the following year, but here we are.
Yeah, most definitely. So it's going to be interesting how the draft turns out. I'm going to have to reach out to some folks and get some draft people on the show and break some stuff down because it's going to be, especially with quarterbacks, and I'm a quarterback nerd anyways. So it's going to be interesting. And I think we have an interesting week of NFL games coming up this weekend. Plenty of good games to discuss. And we had a pretty good weekend this past week. I mean, did you catch the end of that Buffalo and Carolina and Cardinals game with the DeAndre Hopkins catch on the Hail Mary? I mean, you're not supposed to be able to do that with 3 or 4 defenders around you, what he did, and then man, Seattle and LA beating them. Tua, we just mentioned he's doing well with Miami. They're now 3-0 with him as a starter. I mean, it was a lot of good action this past weekend in the NFL.
Yeah, it certainly was. And Phillip, I actually didn't get to catch any NFL football on Sunday because I was coming back from Jacksonville that afternoon. But man, I was on Twitter and I saw that Hopkins caught that. And I'm like, there's no way that they just beat the Bills like that. But it happened. That's probably, man, it's the craziest play of the year, and it's probably the luckiest play of the year. For him to have 3 defenders around him to get probably an inch or 2 higher than the defenders to catch that ball is insane. DeAndre Hopkins is one of my favorite receivers in the league, and that was just a wild, awesome play. And look, the Cardinals are playing really, really great football right now, too.
Yeah, they're 6-3. It's a three-way tie right now in the NFC West between the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks. And that's actually where we're going to start off with our picks for this week on Thursday Night Football. A big one between the Cardinals at Seahawks. The Seahawks have now dropped 3 of their last 4. They were 5-0. I mean, defensively they're not that good. Seattle, no, they are a 3-point favorite here. Man, this is a big game. I mean, really, because the Cardinals beat them a few weeks ago. So then the Cardinals get that second win against Seattle. That would really hurt Seattle in the standings in the Western Division there in the NFC. I'm gonna say this. I know Seattle's a 3-point favorite here. They're at home, but that's not really a big deal this year with lack of fans. I think the Cardinals are gonna ride this high. I think they're gonna get them again. Seattle's just not playing really well right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Arizona's going to get them again.
Yeah, give me Arizona. Look, I remember, what was that, probably 3-4 weeks ago when they played?
Yeah.
I watched that game, and I saw Arizona won. And, look, I was pulling hard for Seattle because I like Russell Wilson. I wasn't really a believer in the Cardinals then, but, man, I am now. And I'm going to take Arizona. Don't listen to the line Seattle by 3. Sure, it's at Central League Field in Seattle, but you're right, Phillip. This is the COVID era of NFL football, and you've got a lot of fans. Arizona's playing great. Seattle's been on a slump lately. I think Arizona moves to 7-3.
Yeah, I do too. And then we'll see. The Rams have a pretty interesting game this week too. They'll be playing Monday Night Football, but we'll hold off on that pick until we get to it. Now, starting on Sunday with 12 o'clock games, you do have the Philadelphia Eagles at 3-5-1 that dropped the game to the New York Giants on Sunday. The NFC least, as everybody, and we will call them on this show. They're playing at the Browns, who are 6-3. Cleveland is a 3.5 point favorite here. Man, I'm not picking the Eagles to win this. NFC East sucks, just flat out. It is not good. I'm taking the Browns here.
Yeah, give me Cleveland too. I just don't have any belief in the Eagles to really win more than 3 or 4 games this year at this point. I like what the Browns are doing, and I think they continue their ride that they're on. So give me Cleveland.
Yeah, with the Eagles being 3-5-1, I just wonder, is there any possible way for them to get close to 500? I mean, you would have to go. They would have to get to an 8 win, 8-7-1, because they have that tie with Cincinnati. Which that tie might end up being what saves them with this division. Because wins wise, not record. The Giants are 3-7, but they do have 3 wins now, and all 3 of their wins are in the division. They're 2-0 against Washington, and now the 1 win against Philadelphia. And then look, Dallas is horrible. Washington's horrible. The Giants aren't good either. I mean, and the Eagles aren't. But it's just, I wish, man, the division champion gets in the playoffs. I know that, but man, I don't want to see any team out of that division play in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't either. That's going to be a travesty for which one team wins that division. But Philip, I will say, I think the way Philadelphia gets to the 500, or at least close to 500 to finish up the year, is there's only one logical reason or one logical way to do this. You put Carson Wentz and you put Jalen Hurts in. That's the answer. That's how you win a couple of games.
If the playoffs started today, the Eagles would win the division. They would play the Buccaneers in the first round.
And Tom Brady throws for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns on them in that playoff game.
Yeah, but would not hit any deep balls because he can't hit a deep pass to save his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, let me just trigger somebody if they're watching this or listening to this. This is a Brady fan. The Falcons at the Saints. Of course, the Saints going to be without Drew Brees. So now we have Jameis Winston. The Saints are 7-2. They're tied with the Packers for the number 1 seed in the NFC right now. But the Packers hold the tiebreaker, so the Packers are number 1. Of course, the Falcons are 3-6, which they're 3-1 since they fired Dan Quinn, so they've been playing much better. New Orleans just come in. This is a 5-point favorite. You got to figure. I mean, Jameis is going to start. We'll see what they do with Taysom Hill, how much more he plays. I feel like we're going to get a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara in this game. I'm going to pick the Saints to win, but I think Atlanta keeps this thing close.
Oh, Phil, I can't pick against my childhood team, even though Breeze is out. Look, we're actually going to have fans in the Superdome this week for this game. For the first time this year, maybe the second time. I think last week was maybe the first time they had fans. But, even though Breeze is out, sure, Jameis Winston didn't play well in Tampa Bay, but I think the Saints find a way to win and keep, that number 1 seed right there in their reach, really. Even though Green Bay owns the tiebreaker. I know Atlanta's 3-1 since they fired Dan Quinn, and I'm thankful that they did that. It was time to do it. But I just think that the Saints are going to be ready to win for Drew Brees until he comes back. So I think they find a way to get 8-2.
Yeah, I saw. I guess the original was 2 to 3 weeks, but it probably could be longer that Breeze is out. They played the Falcons twice, and they had the Broncos in there, so it's very possible that they go 3-0 in these next 3 weeks without Drew Brees, which is big because you do not want to open up the door for the Buccaneers to win the division if you're without Breeze for a while and drop a few games, because you already have the 2 games you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then also you want to stay pace with the Packers because if you are allowed to have fans in the stadium, you want to have the home field advantage in New Orleans, which is always a big deal when they have that advantage. Okay, Bengals at Washington. Bengals are 2-6-1 on the year. Washington 2-7. Both teams got beat last week, which Alex Smith played really well in his first start since that horrific injury 2 years ago. Washington actually is a 1.5-point favorite here. I've kind of gone back and forth. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I've really liked what Joe Burrow has done so far this year, And Alex Smith, yes, he's back. He's not the same Alex Smith he was before the injury. Which how could he be? That was such a devastating uh, leg injury. But I'm just it's hard to go either way because these are both two bad teams. But I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals here.
Well, man, as much as I love Joe Burrow, I'm going to take Washington. Look, I love what Alex Smith did last week, even though they lost to the Lions. But Joe Burrow doesn't really have a protective offensive line, and I just think Washington finds a way to get this win. Now, I think Cincinnati keeps it close, but I think Washington gets it done at home.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I get you. I get you. But I'm going with the Bengals there. But it's not a when you got two teams this bad, it's not an easy pick to go either direction because you just don't know what's going to happen. Now you have the Lions at 4-5 at the Panthers at 3-7. Carolina's a 1.5 point favorite here. Lucky for them. Nothing, not a big time injury with Bridgewater. He didn't finish the game against Tampa Bay. They played really well in the first half of that game, and then Tampa Bay just dominated the second half. The Lions did beat Washington 30-27 field goal there at the very end. Um, I'm going to go Detroit here. I think Detroit wins this one.
Oh, man, I want to ask this question, but I don't know. I have to pick this game. I'm going to take the Lions. I think McCaffrey's still out. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's out this week. Yeah. You're right. So Carolina played well in the first half against Tampa Bay, and then Tampa Bay just took it from there. I think the Lions are a sneaky team they're slowly going to creep up in the standings. So give me Detroit here.
All right. We agree on that one. Next, you have, I don't know, this one might be the one you don't want to pick. The 9-0 Steelers at the 1-8 Jaguars. Pittsburgh is a 10-point favorite.
Oh, man. You know what? If there was any team that Jacksonville is going to beat to get their second win, it's Pittsburgh. No, I'm just kidding. Give me Pittsburgh by at least 14. Look, I don't know right now that anyone can stop the Steelers. Now, I don't think they go undefeated, but through the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know that they're going to get beat. And Jacksonville, yeah, they played solid. I'm not even going to say they played great, but they played solid against Green Bay. They lose by 4. But you know what, man? They've got so many issues, and Pittsburgh has been all season long. So give me Pittsburgh.
Okay, so you bring that up with Pittsburgh. I'm going Pittsburgh too, obviously, in this one. What is the Steelers' upcoming schedule? So I've got it pulled up right here on the computer. They play Jacksonville this week. Then they play the Ravens on Thanksgiving night. Of course, the Ravens had a big lead against them in the first half of their game a couple weeks ago, but then they blew it and the Steelers came back. Then on the December 6th, they play Washington. They should win that one. Then they play the Bills on the 13th, the Bengals on the 21st, the Colts on the 27th, and then the Browns on the 3rd. So I guess you're looking at potential losses. The Ravens, maybe. Thanksgiving night. The Bills are playing really well this year. And then maybe the Colts. We'll just see how that situation is. So that's kind of, you kind of look at their schedule. That might be points where you could see the Steelers getting beat. And the Browns at the end, too, because the Browns could be playing to get into the playoffs. Way it's looking right now, they're on the outside looking in. Let me make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, the Browns would be the 8th. They're in 8th place in the AFC right now. So that's kind of what the Steelers look like right now. So we just have to see what happens there. But that's kind of lay of the land. I don't think they go undefeated either. I think one or two of these teams will probably get them though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it could be the Ravens next week. Thanksgiving. That could be a big win for Baltimore after what happened last week in New England. And, yeah, I like what the Bills are doing. And like you said, I think the Browns, that could be a potential playing game for them. And Baker Mayfield could just go off and they could win that game. And I don't think the Steelers go undefeated, but I could see them having the 1 seed in the AFC, definitely.
And talking about the Ravens, that's the next game. The Titans will be at the Ravens. Both teams are 6-3. The Ravens are a 6.5-point favorite here. And the Ravens, this is a good football team, but I think you got to have some questions because they struggle against the Patriots. I mean, that was a game. I mean, you went that last week thinking, okay, the Ravens should win this. They didn't. The Patriots ran the ball at them and played physical defense. And, we've seen this with the Ravens. The Steelers, they blew that big lead. And, of course, they got beat by the Chiefs earlier this year. And early on in the show, I had Brian Jones from PopCulture.com. We were talking about this game, or talking about the Ravens, and they're a team that's built to not come from behind. They're a running team first. They're kind of like a triple option team in college. Yes, they're great with the lead, but when they get behind, Lamar Jackson just is not yet established enough as a passer to bring them back in those situations. But we're also looking at the Titans. A couple weeks ago, they were undefeated. Now they've had a couple losses. Right now, the Titans would not even be in the playoffs if the playoffs were starting right now. They are not in the AFC. So it's like, who needs this win more? I think the Titans need it more, but I think the Ravens got a punch in the mouth last week against the Patriots. So I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Phillip, I want to say that this could be a revenge game for the Ravens, and technically it is from the playoffs last year. But I think we'll see Derrick Henry get the ball a lot in this game. And the way the Ravens played last week and just squandered the game against the Patriots, give me the Titans.
Okay. I can see that. I can see it going that way. This is one that's really a coin toss. I'm kind of surprised. Baltimore 6.5. I would figure this would be a 3-point spot here, but they do have them right now as we recording this on a Tuesday evening. That the Ravens will be a 6.5-point favorite. Patriots at the Texans. Patriots are 4-5, 2 wins in a row. We joked about the Jets win, but now they beat the Ravens, so this team may have some positive momentum. The Texans 2-7. They're not a good team, obviously, even though they have Deshaun Watson. But check this out, man. The Houston Texans are 2.5-point favorite here. Maybe Vegas knows something we don't, but I like the Patriots to continue their momentum and get back to 500.
Yeah, I'm going to take New England too. I don't think Vegas really knows anything that we don't here. So give me New England. The Texans are in a downward spiral this year. Between losing to the Chiefs the first game, firing Bill O'Brien, trading DeAndre Hopkins, and probably the worst move in franchise history. It's just been a tough year for the Texans. I think New England gets it done.
All right, now we head into the 3:00 time slot. You have the Dolphins at the Broncos. Broncos at 3-6. Dolphins at 6-3. They're 3-0 with Tua. The Dolphins are playing really well. Defensively, they're playing really well. I was very impressed what they did against Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was throwing for over 300 against everybody going into last week's game. They basically shut down the Chargers offense. And Tua's playing well. They're putting him in a good situation. They're not putting too much on him. And he's gotten better, I think, every week just managing the offense. So I think the Dolphins should win this one.
Yeah, Phillip, it's Tua time again. And since Tua started playing, aren't the Dolphins like 3-0? I think it's 3-0.
Yeah, they're 3-0.
And as much as I love Drew Lock, as much as I like Jerry Jeudy receiver, they need to get him the ball more. I think the Dolphins come in, they take advantage of Denver early, and I think Miami gets it done.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on that one. Oh Lord, this doesn't look good on paper, but it's really not going to be good. I think this is going to be a blowout. This next one, Jets 0-9 at the Chargers 2-7. Chargers 8.5. Look, and I just got done talking about the Chargers, how they did not play well against Miami. Chargers have had a lot of games this year where they've been in the lead late in the game and they just blown it. The defense hasn't been able to hold a lead. But for most of the year, Justin Herbert has looked really good, worth that high draft pick the Chargers used on him. Look, the Jets are going to be playing Joe Flacco again. Darnold is out once again for this one. I'm going with the Chargers and kind of get some of that confidence for Herbert back after kind of got knocked around a little bit last week against Miami.
Yeah, Phillip, I need the Jets to win at least one game. just one, New York, just one. But give me the Chargers, man. I don't see the Jets being able to get it done. After watching them, a couple weeks ago against New England, man, I thought they had that game, and then they just collapsed. And Herbert's playing really well. He's one of my favorite rookies in the entire league. And I think the Chargers find a way to get this one done.
All right. This was a good one with the records. The Packers at 7-2 will be at the Colts at 6-3. Indianapolis is actually a 2.5-point favorite here. I guess getting the home team favorite here in this one. Just 2.5 though. Of course, Packers coming off that 24-20 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts played last Thursday, big win against the Titans within the division. They now have the lead in the division. They sit at fourth in the AFC if the playoffs started today. Okay, everybody listening, watching, I'm a Packers fan. Y'all know this, so you can say I'm biased, but I just think the Packers win this one.
Oh, Phillip, I hate to, man, I hate to hurt your feelings here. I like the Colts. Give me Indianapolis. Look, I like Green Bay this year. I think they're a really, really destined team. But after what I saw the Colts do last week against the Titans to take the lead in the division, and just the poise that they played with, man, I think they come into this game really hyped up. They need a big win to get to 7-3 and maybe even extend their lead in the AFC South division. The Titans are going to the Ravens. But I think if Indianapolis is going to stake their claim as a higher seed in the AFC playoffs, I think this win against Green Bay on Sunday is the start to it.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a big win for them, get them to the 7th win. I guess just for me, you just don't know what you're going to get with Phillip Rivers each week because he makes some throws that are on the questionable side, but be interesting. It's interesting. It's a big game for both of them too within divisions. The Cowboys will be at the Vikings. Of course, when the Cowboys are 2-7, they're a bad football team this year. Vikings at 4-5. I'll tell you, they've been playing really well lately. They won on Monday night. We got that win against the Packers a few weeks ago. They're feeding Dalvin Cook the ball. They're going with the run game and playing off of that with Kirk Cousins in the passing attack. Let's see. Minnesota's a 7.5 here. I'm taking Minnesota.
Yeah, so at this point, it's not even worth it to waste words to say that I picked the Cowboys to win a game the rest of the year. Give me the Vikings.
All right. We got two good ones in our primetime matchups to close out Week 11. On Sunday Night Football, it'll be the Chiefs at 8-1 at the Raiders, 6-3. Kansas City is a 6.5-point favorite here. Because remember, the one team that has beaten the Chiefs this year is the Raiders. I almost said Ravens. The Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. But I am going to go with Kansas City to get some payback here and go to 9-1.
Oh, man, it's hard for me to pick against Patrick Mahomes. But the Raiders already have done it once this year. I think they complete the season sweep against Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, all right. So you got the Raiders. That'd be interesting. And then that would put them a game within the division too. 7-3 for the Raiders, and that would be 8-2 for the Chiefs. So then they would be right there. So it could really shake some stuff up. They could get home field advantage in the first round, and the Chiefs don't get that. That's the bigger part of that deal. Then lastly, on Monday Night Football, we got the 6-3 Rams at the 7-3 Buccaneers. This is going to be interesting. We kind of got an idea with the Saints going against Buccaneers. You can mess with this team if you have a good enough defense. I think Aaron Donald's going to get pressure on Brady, and they are going to cause havoc and disrupt the Tampa Bay offense. I'm going to pick the Rams here. I think the Rams are going to win this, even though Tampa Bay's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams too. Look, I wanted to pick the Bucs, but I just think the Rams can. I think they can cause mishaps for the Bucs offense. Aaron Donald on that defensive front and Jalen Ramsey in the secondary. Give me the Rams.
All right. So that's our picks for the week. Once again, so it's going to be interesting. Interesting games this week in the NFL. It'll be a lot of fun. For people checking this out on the Facebook page or if you're on YouTube, I will be doing a live SEC college football pick show solo later on in the week. So check that out. And that will not be on podcast. That will be video exclusive. So you need to check that out. And Brandon, as we get out of here, where can everybody find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Eisman_sports. You can also find all my LSU content over at LSU Wire, and you can find my LSU Breakdown podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, and Anchor.
All right, man. Sounds good. And everybody, you can follow me on social media at PJordanSEC. The podcast is available. Talking Pro Football is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe, rate, and review. Check out Talking SEC as well. And check out all the video content I'm now posting on the Talking Sports with Phillip Jordan Facebook page and over on the Phillip Jordan YouTube account. Everybody has a great week. I'll talk to you next week about more pro football and more SEC stuff. So I hope everybody has a great week. Bye-bye.